I'm your host, Carolyn Solo, LCSW, EMDR therapist, and mom of 3 daughters. Thank you for joining me.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Future Template Parent Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Carolyn Solo, LICSW, PhD, EMDR therapist and consultant, business coach for therapists, and mom of 3 daughters. And today I am very excited to have a special guest here with me. I have Hannah.
One of those.
Hannah Ciampini, LCSW, who is the owner of Hello Calm Therapy. She has owned her own private practice for about 2.5 years, and she is out of Pensacola, Florida area, which is the Panhandle, as you told me. It's actually the only part of Florida that's in the Central Time Zone, right?
Yes. You're the oddball.
Yeah. So, and you're here to talk a little bit about what it's like to offer intensives and market them in a more rural area.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
So thank you so much for being here. And why don't you tell us a little bit more about yourself and kind of how you became an EMDR therapist?
Absolutely. So I am, like you said, in the Pensacola area, which is really close to the Alabama state line. So a lot of times people will say we're lower Alabama because we're so close to them. So I began offering EMDR in the Pensacola area about 4 or 5 years ago.
Okay. So that's when you got trained. It was about 4 or 5 years. Okay.
That was when I first got the initial training done. I actually learned about EMDR while I was doing my internship for school, for grad school.
Cool.
The lady that I worked under for my main internship was recently trained in EMDR, so she was practicing it a lot.
Oh, cool.
Yes. Yeah. So I feel like being able to talk a lot about it in class, in my supervision classes and things like that, and getting to share a lot of it really helped me figure out, one, that like that was an interest of mine that I wanted to pursue, but also I was getting such like in-depth work in my internship that some of the other students weren't necessarily getting. So it was really interesting to share it with other people and like, this is what I'm learning and this is what I'm doing. And, and then when I graduated and went into group practice at the same agency that I'd been interning with.
Oh, awesome.
I got to like kind of continue that learning with her. We stayed friends, throughout it. So I got to continue to learn from her, and I got EMDR trained as a registered intern through the state of Florida. So while I was working on my intern hours, I went ahead and did the EMDR training. And a lot of the more like seasoned LCSWs that were already licensed, they were like, no, wait until you're licensed. You don't need to do it yet. And I was like, I don't know. Like I already know that I like it. I already know this.
Yeah, you don't need to, but you want to.
Yeah.
So.
And so it was kind of like, no, I'm going to do it, and of course that means that I didn't get to use my CEUs because I didn't need them yet. I wasn't up for that yet. But to me, I was like, I know that this is an interest of mine and I want to keep it going. So I got trained as a registered intern and have been doing it since, and have kind of made it my entire like niche and business model for my private practice.
Yeah. And so you transitioned from group practice to your own practice about 2.5 years ago. Is that?
Yes. So
once you got your licensure, is that like your full licensure?
Yes. So I went out on my own about 2.5 years ago. I worked for the group practice that I was at as an intern. I worked there for several years, and then got licensed there, and then decided, I think I'm ready to branch out and start my own stuff. And about 2.5 years ago, made the leap into starting my own business. And that was a whole like another learning curve. Just being a business owner in general is a learning curve.
It's a non-stop learning curve. Every day I'm like, what am I doing?
Yes. Every day I'm like, okay, I need to figure this out. So
every day I wake up in the middle of the night and think like, oh God, and then like text myself something that so I don't forget in the morning. Like
absolutely. I feel like it definitely keeps me on my toes. But I love it. And it has really been a super fun experience as far as like being able to build what I want and like make my practice exactly how I want it to be ran. And now that has morphed into me helping other therapists do the same thing. So now I'm doing EMDR intensives. That's like my specialty in my practice. And I'm starting to train other clinicians to do the same, whether they want to offer intensives or some other boutique premium offer.
Right.
I help them with that too.
So are you an EMDR consultant? Like, do you do consultation with people, or is it separate from that?
It's separate from that.
Yeah.
I have recently started a second business for coaching. And that's where I'm helping therapists who want to expand their private practice. Maybe they are just starting out and just have no idea where to start. Or maybe they have had a private practice but feel like it needs a little bit of a push to boost their income or whatever it is. A lot of times the therapists that I'm working with for coaching are therapists that know that there's a potential to make more money and work less hours, and they are just stuck on how to do that. And so I kind of come in and say, hey, let's figure it out together. And I feel like I guess the population that I have worked with and the skills that I have learned from marketing in a smaller area has really helped with that business, because I can bring to the table like, hey, I know what it's like to try to offer intensives in an area where nobody else is offering them. I don't even know what you're talking about, and having to market that. So that's been really fun.
Yeah. So tell me first about, how did you get into offering intensives? Like, going from just, I imagine when you started offering EMDR, that was, you were doing the 50-minute session like we all start off doing. At the group practice that you were at, was anyone doing intensives, or was that something that you kind of came to later?
That was something that I came to later. When I was with the group practice, it was very much the traditional like 50-minute sessions. Like, you go in, you do this, you go out, you go to the next person. And that was one thing when I went out on my own that I was like, I feel like this could be better. Like, I feel like I could offer things in a different way or make it a little bit more catered to my clients. And after I'd been out maybe about 6 months to a year on my own, I came across the EMDR intensive model, I think through Stephanie Feld, who is like all into the intensives. Started following her, learned so much through some of her trainings and her Facebook groups and all this stuff, and was like, oh, I could do this. Like, I could offer intensives. That sounds exactly like what I need. One, it gives me flexibility because I'm meeting with maybe just one person a day for a chunk of time, but it also gives my clients the ability to heal way faster than what I've been doing. Like, I've had some of these clients doing EMDR for a year and we could keep going, and that's fine, but this would probably help them feel better way faster. So that kind of got me in the door with intensives.
And how did clients respond when you first started presenting that to them?
There was definitely some like confusion on what it was. And I think some being intimidated about the hours. When you say like, we're going to meet for 3 hours, people are like, whoa, and which is valid, and I think even for myself, when I heard about like the longer sessions, it was your immediate response is just kind of like, oh, that sounds like too much. But then you do a session and you're like, that went by so fast that didn't feel like 3 hours. So there's definitely a little bit of like hesitation with just the unknown of it. But a lot of my clients were willing to try it because we had been working together. They knew me. We had a great rapport. And they knew that I wasn't going to push them into something that they weren't ready for or that wouldn't be a good fit. So they would, give it a try and then get in and be like, why have we not been doing this the whole time? So it was a lot of like immediate, like, I'm kind of intimidated, and then shift to like, oh, this is actually really helpful.
Yeah. When you started your private practice, were you always all private pay, or did you ever take some insurance, or how did that work for you?
When I first went out on my own, I joined some of the platforms like Grow Therapy or Headway or things like that and took insurance through them, really to kind of like build up my clientele, and did that for probably the first year. But quickly realized like, I don't have to take insurance, and this isn't necessarily beneficial for me or the client, because a lot of times like some of these platforms will change like what insurances they take, or your copay changes frequently or things like that. And so it was kind of like, I think I'm ready to go private pay. And when I worked in a group practice, that was always kind of like frowned upon in a way, because it was like, no, you should take insurance and make things very accessible to like everyone. And so it doesn't matter if, you're having to see 9 clients back to back to make ends meet. You should just take insurance because that's the right thing to do, and it took a while of like breaking that thought pattern in my head and realizing like, I'm burning myself out of a job that I really like because I'm having to see so many clients to make ends meet, when I could just offer private pay and charge what I'm worth and go from there.
And when you presented that to clients that you're making that shift, because I know a lot of people fear that, a lot of the therapists I work with fear that. How did that go for you and for your clients? What was that like for you to make that switch?
There were definitely some clients that were nervous, that, naturally are like, I am going to go from a $30 copay to your hourly rate, which at the time when I first went out of the insurance model and went more into private pay, my rate was like $125. So, that was a big jump. And some of them were like, I don't know if I can do that. A lot of them, I would say like 90% were like, oof, not excited about it, but it's okay. I'm going to do it because I want to keep working with you. There were definitely some that were just like, I can't make that work.
Sure.
I would help them find somebody else. So then we would sit down together and say, okay, what do you like about the work that we're doing that you want to continue with somebody else? And let me send you to a colleague. But I would say probably about 90% of them were like, I want to, like, we've been doing great work and I want to continue this work. Even if that means that I space them out a little bit more, that's fine. We'll keep going.
Yeah. And I think that's really important for people to hear, because I think we get in this, like you said, when you're at the group practice, one, this idea that like, it's not ethical to not take insurance, and two, that you won't be able to succeed at not taking insurance. Right.
Yes.
And I often think that the people who have that message of you're not going to be able to succeed probably haven't really tried it themselves.
Yes.
And there's a lot of fear for them, or they did try and I'm sure you see this working with therapists, there's a variety of ways in which they weren't doing necessarily what they needed to be doing. Like, it is an entirely different business model when you are private pay. You have to do marketing.
Yes, absolutely.
When you're an insurance-based provider, in a lot of ways, the insurance company is your marketing. Like, if someone can pay $30 for a therapy session, like, you don't have to do a whole lot of selling on that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so I think that that's one of the big shifts that people have to grapple with is like, marketing is a big part of your job, or else your business will not survive.
Absolutely.
And that's another reason why, we have to see fewer clients as private practice therapists, because part of our job is marketing, and we need to be paying ourselves for that time, which is why we have to charge more. I mean, like, it all makes sense, right? I'm not going to be seeing 40 clients a week and then be trying to market on top of that. Like, no. I'm not going to be seeing 40 clients a week, full stop.
Yeah.
But like, yeah. So when you work with therapists, do you work with therapists who are trying to switch from an insurance-based practice to private pay?
Yeah.
And what do you see coming up there?
A lot of times the therapists that come to me that are trying to make that shift are, like you said, scared because, what if it doesn't work? And usually where we start is, where we start with those clients, with those therapists is typically figuring out like what their niche is. That's like my number one thing with therapists is like, okay, we're going to like, if you're going to be private pay, like you said, you have to market. So if you're going to market, you need to know who you're talking to and what you're selling them. You can't just say, I am a therapist and I work on anxiety. That's not enough. And honestly, now it's not enough to say,
I just love, I'm glad you said selling, because I think when you first say that to therapists, they're like, but I'm not selling anything. I'm like, oh no, you are. You are selling something, and pretending that you're not is not helping you. But I'm helping people. No, so
that's
like buying aspirin is helping you, but it's also selling you something. Like, sorry, that's what you do. And like that mindset, it's a hard shift, but it's so important. No, I'm sorry, you're selling something.
No, absolutely. And that's why, like, a lot of times the first question that I will ask my coaching clients, even if they are already in private practice and they don't take insurance, or, they've moved past that a long time ago, I still will say, okay, what's your niche though? Who are you talking to? Because if I just throw this, like, if I cast this wide net and say, I'm a therapist that works on anxiety, I'm a therapist that offers EMDR, nobody's coming, because they don't know what that means and they don't know what they're getting.
And I think you bring up another good point. Like, a lot of therapists who get EMDR trained, they're like, this is so amazing, I'm just going to tell everyone that I'm an EMDR therapist. I'm like, well, why do you think anyone else knows what that means?
Yeah, nobody.
Like, that's great. But that's kind of like the step you are going to, like, more and more, of course, like EMDR is more and more in the zeitgeist, is more like in, popular culture even, but like most people don't know about it. So expecting that other people are going to be like, oh, I'm looking for an EMDR therapist. And there's plenty of EMDR therapists out there who are niche down and who are going to be speaking to them directly. So you have to, EMDR is not a niche. I'm sorry.
No,
it's not. It's a modality. It's not a niche.
Your modality is not your niche, and trying to use it as such, like, you're going to burn yourself out on marketing, because you're going to feel like you're constantly trying to market and nobody's listening. And maybe at one point you could say that, like, EMDR was your niche, maybe, but now, like, there's so many EMDR therapists.
That's also true.
That's not enough, and even honestly, like, I think in the beginning of me offering intensives, I could say I'm an intensive therapist, or I'm an EMDR intensive therapist. And that set me apart a little bit, but now intensives are gaining speed. So now that's not really enough either. So I have to say, like, I'm an intensive therapist, and here's the things that I do. Here's what I'm working on.
And I also think it's important, and I always tell therapists this, that, like, it's a good thing that EMDR intensives are becoming more well known, because there are lots and lots of people in this world, and you only need like a handful. You know what I mean? Like, so the more people that know about intensives, that means the more people that are going to be looking for them.
Yes.
So other people talking about them is actually helping you. I think people are like, oh, I'm coming to this too late. I'm like, oh, you are not. No. You are not coming to this too late. More like, if you don't get on it now, you're missing out.
Yes, absolutely. A lot of times, you're, if you're coming into it now and there's already a decent amount of intensive therapists, whether it's EMDR intensives or parenting intensives or whatever, that word intensives is getting more popular, and that helps us with marketing so much, because in the beginning, when nobody knew what an intensive was, I was just like, it felt like I was kind of just spinning my wheels, like trying to teach people what intensives were before I could ever even really market. And now they know what they are, so I don't have to do that.
Yeah. So talk to me a little bit about this idea of like marketing in a rural area, or like I think that's really interesting. Like, what made you realize that was necessary? And like, what do you think are some of the key points that make that a different kind of a thing?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I first got into doing intensives, obviously that was a whole different marketing ball game. And I had to go down the whole rabbit hole of figuring out how to market those intensives so that people would come. A lot of people in my area, I think, had the mindset that, like, you're never going to really sell those here because people here don't have that kind of money, or people here aren't willing to spend that kind of money, or, not true. Every intensive that I have done has been from people that live in Pensacola. I offer them virtually, and I market to Florida and Alabama because I'm licensed in both, but I've maybe had a couple that were from other areas, but probably like 95% of them have been from Pensacola. Like, they live here and they want help too. So I'm not doing anybody
and they want, I think the in-person experience.
Yes.
When you're paying that much money.
Absolutely.
I mean, I've worked with plenty of therapists with virtual intensives, and it's totally doable and it works and all that, but it's not my preference personally, but
that's it. They want the service.
But like, you can absolutely build an in-person business. And I think more and more people want that now than they even did a few years ago. And I think that that's another reason why you're charging a premium fee, because there are therapists out there who are still all virtual. I'm sorry, they're not paying for an office space. So I don't want to hear from them about how much I should be charging.
No. And that's, and your pay is obviously going to,
I would listen to them anyway, but they don't
like, everything's going to vary based on like your location. And I would say, like, as far as Pensacola goes, we're not like a super, super tiny town with like nothing in it, but we're also not like a Miami, Florida.
Right.
Like we're a very small city. And there are a lot of therapists here, but none were doing intensives when I started. And I started like looking around when I found out about them. I was like, surely somebody is doing it. No, nobody was doing them. So I was like, okay, well, now I have to get really, really smart with my marketing strategy, because I need to get the word out about these intensives in a way that doesn't sound off-putting to therapists. If I want them to refer to me, I need to make sure that they understand I'm not taking their clients. I'm not,
right, that you're actually helping them.
I'm helping them. Yeah. And they want to send them to me, and what I would run into a lot is I would meet therapists for like coffee dates or things like that to try to network. And a lot of times they had no idea what intensives were. And I would say, yeah, here's what I'm offering and yada, yada, here's my spiel. And they would say, oh, what's an intensive? And I would explain it to them, okay, let's back up a little bit, kind of teach about the intensive model. And then 9 times out of 10, it was like, well, I want to do that. How do I do that? And I'm like, okay, well, that's great that you want to do that. That's not really why I'm here though. Like, I'm trying to market and get you as a referral source, but now I'm basically just teaching you how to do my job, like there's plenty of space for people to do intensives, but it did make me realize, oh, I have to do this differently because nobody knows what these are. So I have to get a little bit more strategic with my marketing, teach people what they are first, and then market.
Yeah. And I think that there's there are different like categories of people that you market intensives to. There's like non-EMDR therapists, right? Because then there's less of a, now I want to do this myself.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes with non-EMDR therapists, even though they know about EMDR, you're still educating them about EMDR in the first place. But then if you have EMDR therapists, although there's a lot of EMDR therapists that I come across in my coaching work who say, I love having hourly clients.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to switch. I'm like, hey, you don't have to. Like, you definitely don't have to. There's absolutely a need for both.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just think it'll be interesting as the field continues to evolve. What I think clients want more options.
Absolutely.
And it's unfortunate. Like, I wish, I'm sure you come across this too with intensives. Like, insurance companies are only going to reimburse for the first hour if you're lucky. And I'm not waiting around for insurance companies to catch up with that, and clients aren't either. So, and I am booking enough intensives to meet my needs. So yeah, insurance companies that model doesn't align well with their financial goals.
No, it does not.
And let's remember, that's the bottom line for them, right? Yeah. It has nothing to do with.
And like I said, I think they'll catch up eventually, but like, I'm not.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Maybe they won't.
Who knows how long it's going to take for that to happen? I'm not waiting. I have bills to pay today, so I can't wait.
Exactly. And I saw on, I don't know, Instagram or TikTok or something recently, a therapist who has a pretty big following, talking about how maybe she was with Growth, or I can't remember which one, but like they were trying to claw back all this money from her because they'd changed their policies. I don't even know the full details, but like basically the point is, like, insurance companies don't give a damn about us.
No.
They are not. They will screw us over.
They don't care about the therapist, and they don't care about the client.
Right. So like this idea that somehow taking insurance is the right thing to do. I'm like, right thing by whom? All I'm doing is like padding some CEO's pockets, really.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sacrifice my own well-being for that. And I'm, we live at, like, our healthcare system is screwed, and I'm not going to, and I refuse to like join with that, frankly.
Yeah.
And I think that what the ethical argument, I think, I get that the access argument is real. And I think a lot of that, when people use that argument, it's fear-based.
Absolutely.
They're like, they don't actually believe that it's possible. So it's easier to say, well, I like take the moral high ground, right? Yes. As opposed to like, what is this triggering for me that I'm having this strong reaction to this other therapist charging
more and getting
$350 an hour and getting it, right? Exactly. So the easiest thing to do is say that is unethical.
Yep. And make you kind of like feel bad for it, and that's when I worked for the group practice that I was with. It was definitely, there's a lot of alluding to, if you were to charge private pay, then you're, especially as a social worker, you're a bad social worker. You're not really a social worker at heart. You're in it for the money. You're not in it for helping people. And I'm like, can I not be in it for both? Like,
Right.
can I
You know what?
not, you know?
I like to remind people of this, that social work is hardly like its origins are not exactly like the people who started the social work field were rich wives who didn't have to get paid for anything and who were bored and wanted to go into people's homes and tell them how to be better parents.
Yes.
So explain to me how social work has this
Yeah.
like spotless pedigree. It doesn't.
No. And things change over time. Like that is supposed to happen.
Right.
Things are supposed to adapt with the times and where life is at. So why are we going off this model from years past and trying to keep it adapted to 2025?
Right now in my group, I have the summer cohort. I have 3 people out of a group of 7 who are switching from insurance base, and they are getting clients saying yes to multi-day intensives.
Mm-hmm.
And I just like to share that for people to be like, it is absolutely possible. Absolutely. The difference is you decide to do the work.
Yes, and it is work. I mean,
oh my God, I always say that it's not complicated, but it's hard.
Yeah. It's time consuming. It's
time consuming, and it requires you to do a lot of mindset work and a lot of like facing your own fears, and that's like draining. And that's why it's so helpful to have a coach, to have a group, to have a container that's holding you accountable. Absolutely. And where you can bring those fears and not just like spin and isolate. I texted my coach about something last night that I was freaking out about, and and she was like, "Hey, no big deal. Like you're not in the wrong." Like da da da. I need that, otherwise I'd be like spiraling on my own.
Yes.
Absolutely. So having a space, a container, whether like a coach or group or whatever, is so vital when you're trying to really make this big change in your practice.
Absolutely. I mean, you have to be willing to accept that, like, okay, my days are going to look different. When I worked as, for a group practice and I was seeing insurance-based clients, I was seeing people from 8 or 9 a.m. until about 5 p.m.
Thank God your days are going to look different, right?
Like a lot of times I wasn't taking a lunch break. I would just see clients back to back because I wanted to make as much as I could. So I would just do it every day. By the end of the day, it was like nobody talked to me. Nobody breathed near me. Like I'm so burnt out.
Yeah. And like, so I don't want that to be my life.
No, right? I can't survive like that. And I mean, I was 3 years into working in private practice with that group practice, and I could already feel the burnout creeping in. And I was like, oh no, I just paid way too much money for this degree to already be feeling like I can't do this. Like I cannot keep this.
You love the work. I'm like, I refuse to let that push me out of this work that I love and I know I'm good at.
And if I'd kept going at that pace, it absolutely would have. I was seeing clients with all different, I would see a 5-year-old kid in the morning, and then the client right after him would be like a depressed 6-year-old man. And then
I'm like, tell me,
I'm like, what? It was all over the place. And now I see very specific clients that fit my niche. I sometimes am only working for 3 hours a day. And now 3 hours with a client, I'm going home and doing like marketing. So there is like a shift in that way. Like, yes, I'm not seeing clients for 8 hours back to back. Now this is what my day looks like. I may do a podcast in the morning and a 2-hour intensive in the afternoon. And that's my, time with people. And then the rest is like, I'm marketing. I'm doing my own thing. I'm
doing your
gym if I want to.
You're doing your billing and all the million other things that go along with being a private practice owner. But like, we think that the only work that this job is client facing work. And that is not true. What about training? What about making sure you're in compliance with all the like there's so many pieces to our job. Like just paperwork, for God's sake. Like I refuse to be up at 12 midnight doing paper. And you're a mom too, right?
Yes.
So like how does that play in for you in terms of how you think about a shift in how your work life looks?
Yeah. So honestly, that was probably one of the bigger like motivating factors when I decided to really shift to intensives only. When I first found out about intensives, I was still scared and still taking hourly clients because it was like, well, what if this doesn't work? Once I really was like, you know what, I have to make this jump. Like I can't keep doing this. I'm making my life harder by trying to take hourly clients on top of intensives. Like that's not going to work. So when I kind of got over that fear and did some like deep digging internally and figured out like this is a fear and I just need to scoot my way into intensives only. A lot of it was because I was like, I'm my daughter is 6, and going on 7, and I want to spend time with her. She notices when I'm like on my computer all the time, or when I'm talking on the phone all the time, like setting up appointments, or when I'm doing all this stuff. And I don't want that to be how she remembers her childhood, is like me constantly doing work, me
Well, my
constantly.
4-year-old still says to me, "Mommy, you done working yet?"
Yeah.
Mommy, you done?
And then it's like you get to a point where you're like, that I like, yeah, there's gonna be times where I have to work and I have to do things around her, whatever. But like, I don't want that to be my life. And when I was,
And the
especially,
point is, they do notice.
they
Kids
do,
notice.
yeah. And I don't, I want to be able to spend time with her and enjoy like her
Mhm.
being a little kid, and when I was working for a group practice and seeing those, 8 clients, 9 clients back to back, I still had to come home and do notes because I didn't schedule time in my day to do.
Yeah, it's so hard to do that. And
Yeah.
and sometimes, like, a client leaves your office, you have another one coming in 10 minutes. All you can do is like stare at the wall,
Yes.
go pee, and then stare at the wall. I mean, like, we're supposed to write a note. Like, I'm
I'm
sorry, I
scrolling
need to like
TikTok, like I'm not doing
I need to like
anything.
cleanse that one person's energy. But and right anyway,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
I hate when everyone's like, just write your note after the session. I was like, okay, whatever.
That's great in theory.
Great.
Yeah, really great in theory.
Most people I know don't do that.
Nobody does that because you're burnt out and you're exhausted from the last session and you're trying to mentally prepare for the next session. And so you,
Yeah.
like you said, you stare at the wall, you doom scroll on TikTok, anything except for your note, because like I'm trying to not think about that for like 5 minutes.
Right. So I can be like a little bit like for the next person.
So then, I go home and I have 9 notes to do for the entire day. And so then I'm like basically picking her up from school, going home, cooking dinner, getting her ready for bed, all of that, and then jumping right into notes.
Yeah.
And it's like, when do I rest? Like, when do I get to recover?
Yeah, right. Exactly. And so it's like, it's all of it. It's like, how do we show up for our clients by being more rested and present? How do we show up for our families? And how do we show up for ourselves? And like, intensives provide that in a way that punishing schedule just can't.
Absolutely.
So about your coaching. So what's the name of your coaching business? Does it have a separate name, or is it like?
Yes. So my coaching business is Blueprint and Bloom.
Oh, I love
and that is where we're like really working on setting up your private practice to provide all the things that you want it to provide, getting your schedule the way that you want it, like making the kind of pay that you want to make, all that good stuff. And a lot of times the clients that are coming to me for that are interested in intensives, or they're interested in some kind of offer like intensives, maybe a more like premium service kind of thing. And they just need that help getting started. And sometimes we're working on the fears and getting past that. Sometimes we're working on the logistics, but it's been really fun helping other therapists do that, because I definitely was like a DIYer. I did all of it myself going in, and tried to just like teach myself everything. And you can do it, but it's exhausting. So I like helping people do it quicker.
What I always say to people is like, don't make the mistakes I did. Let me help you not make the mistakes I made.
Absolutely.
And like, let me get you a year ahead of where you could be.
We could do it way faster. Yeah.
Yeah. But like, that's the benefit of having someone who has the blueprint, like you said, who has the roadmap.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you don't have to figure out all these pieces. Like, let me walk this with you. And hey, look, time is our most valuable resource, right? People can DIY things, but I don't know about you. Like, I'll do anything to get time back.
Absolutely. I feel like, especially when I went out on my own, even with my private practice, I realized real quick, like, time is money. And if I can pay somebody to speed this up for me, sure, let's go ahead and do that, because I cannot, even like kind of DIYing the intensive stuff, like I can't do that long term. I can't. I've taught myself a lot of it. And then I got to a certain point where I was like, no, who can help me with this? Because I can't. Like, that's exhausting. And that's another way to burn out. Maybe not seeing clients, but doing a whole separate job that I didn't even go to school for. I didn't go to school for business or marketing. So you're learning from scratch.
Even if we do know some of it, I think just not feeling so isolated and not questioning everything you do because you have no one to be like, hey, is this like,
right? Yeah.
Is this right? Or is this normal that I'm feeling this way? Or this thing's coming up? If you're like, I can't, that to me, like I said, I like texted my coach last night being like, I got this weird request that like made me feel icky. Like, what do you think? And she's like, oh yeah, that's not appropriate. That person asked you, whatever.
Yeah.
And like, I knew that deep down, but like I needed
that check-in
to share it with someone and someone who I know has my back and who was also very experienced in the field. So I was like, you know, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I could go on about the value. I think coaching is like, I will never not have a coach personally, because it's how I have grown and scaled in ways that I didn't even imagine were possible.
Absolutely.
But like, I don't think that's something for me, like, I don't want to DIY that. Please no. Like, I do not want to do it. And
it's tiring.
It's tiring. And I know it would have slowed me down.
Absolutely.
I wouldn't be where I am if it weren't for actually reaching out for support. So it's hard. I feel like there's a lot of people out there who are still like, I'll just do this myself. No, and for some people that works. There are some people that I know that's worked for. And I think that's great. I think they're the minority. And I think there's a lot of people who tell themselves they're that kind of person and then just flounder.
Yes.
And feel a lot of shame about the fact that they can't figure it out.
Absolutely. And that when I got my own coach, it was because I was doing all this marketing stuff by myself. And I learned a ton. I learned what was working and what was not working, and, you know, how I needed to word certain things in order to get my point across, especially to therapists that didn't know about intensives. Like I got it down pat, but after it was all said and done, I was like, I'm tired. I can't keep doing this, you know? And when I reached out to my own coach, that was one of the things that I said. I was like, I don't want to ever feel like I'm spinning my wheels and not really going anywhere. I am all for, like, if I can get there a faster way, let's do that. So like,
time is money. I mean, like, time is absolutely money. And I think a lot of therapists really struggle with that because we're so used to getting paid shit.
Yep.
That we're like, well, I can't invest anything because I don't have it.
And then so you start charging intensive rates and you're like, okay, now I'm making a little bit more money. How can I invest that back into my business?
Right.
And that starts with me and making sure that I know what I'm doing and I'm using my time effectively and doing the things that I need to do now.
I'm always investing in some program or some, like right now I'm taking this course on like web copy so that I can improve the modules in my course about writing web copy.
Yes.
You know, and so like, but you know, it's not like I just know that stuff out of nowhere. Like I have to learn it.
No, I'm constantly like, and even for my private practice, like I'm still like, what can I learn for that? Like, what can I add to that? What can I do with my coaching business that I could add? Like, what training do I need in order to better train other people, you know? And it's
not like any of us are just born with this repository of knowledge. And so like, I think that's something that's so important that I always try to get ask people is like, those of us who look, quote, successful, whatever that means, it's a lot of it is we are investing a ton of time and money in being able to produce these products and services that are beneficial to others.
Yes.
And I think there's always that balance of like, you know, income and revenue, but you know, and that's a learning process too. But anyway, I just think like you can't get past a certain point without investing in your business, and it can look like hours and hours and hours of your time and you never sleep, or it can look like spending some money and getting some time back.
Absolutely. I mean, this is a business at the end of the day. Like, yes, it's therapy. Yes, it's all of these other things, but it's a business at heart. So you have to treat it like that. And you have to, if you want to continue to expand and grow and keep making more money, you have to act accordingly. And
if you don't want to do that, then fine, stay in a group practice.
That is fine too.
There will always be jobs in a group practice for people who, and that's, I'm not like bashing that at all. Like,
if that's you, that's you. Yeah.
If you don't like marketing, if you don't want to do the business side of it, don't.
Yeah. Because it is work for sure. But
there is a ceiling for you then. And
there is. And at the end of the day, like, I want to continue to improve. And you know, I think a lot of this comes with like personality too. I'm not going to ever stay the same anyway. Like, I'm always wanting to learn things and do new things and try something new and try to master something
else. Ideas and I want to.
Yeah. And my business is the same. I want to keep expanding. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And there's so many ways to do that. Like, everybody is different in terms of what their capacity is for risk and all that stuff. But I think that most people probably have a little bit more capacity to stretch themselves than maybe they think.
Yes.
But that's why getting support matters so much. As someone else can say, I see this in you. Like, I know the steps to take to get you there. Yep. You know, so it's like that combination of things. Well,
absolutely.
Well, I don't want to take too much more of your time, but I'm so glad that we got to connect in this way, and I'm super excited to share. All your links to stuff will be in the show notes, and are you what's your best like social media place for people to find you? Do you have a social media presence?
I do.
Yeah.
For coaching, I am on Instagram.
Mhm.
It's Blueprint and Bloom Lab.
Cool. I like that name a lot.
And then you can go on my Instagram. There's always like free resources and things like that for my coaching clients. I also have a link to my Facebook group on there. So I have a free Facebook group where I communicate with coaching clients a lot and post things there as well.
Cool.
For my private practice, it's mostly through my website, which is Hello Calm Therapy.
Cool. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time. I so appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And it's just always so exciting to hear about all the different ways that people are working with this model, this intensive model, because I think the more options we give clients, the better for everyone, for therapists and for clients. And
Absolutely.
We can reduce therapist burnout. That all that means to me is that we're improving client outcomes.
Absolutely. And the clients are loving it. You can't let fear get in your way, because every client that I've done an intensive with has loved it and been so thankful at the end of it, because I just healed X amount of things that I've been working on in therapy for X amount of years in 4 hours.
Right.
So they're like,
they actually were like, maybe this will never get better. Like there's,
yeah.
And you can show people that's not the way. That's not true. And isn't that amazing? Like that therapy actually can advance you.
Get you where you want to go. Yeah. It's awesome.
Chatting with your buddy once a week. I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's hard, but and that's a lot of times, clients are coming to you for intensives because they have tried therapy and other modalities and it hasn't worked the way that they wanted to. And they're here, and then it's like, yeah.
I mean, I think that all therapy, unless you have someone who's doing a lot of harm, there are benefits that.
Absolutely.
But like, if you want something, I think it's good for clients to know that there's more out there that they could be benefiting from.
Yes. And they don't know that off the top of their heads.
Right, so they don't know that until we tell them.
We have to market effectively so that they know.
Right. So call that marketing or call that doing a service. It's both.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So, well, thank you so much, Hannah.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.